Hi, I'm Delaney. I asked my sister when the baby shower was, and she said, "We had it yesterday." Her husband just looked at me like I was trash. That moment should have hurt the most, but it didn't. Because deep down, I knew this wasn't the first time they erased me. Just the first time they didn't bother hiding it. What else have they kept from me? I woke up with a strange kind of stillness in the house, quiet. Like something had already happened and no one told me. Sunlight cut through the blinds. And I reached for my phone on the nightstand. No new messages, no calls, no updates. My thumb hovered over our family group chat, nothing since Wednesday. That was odd. The baby shower. I'd been thinking about it all week. I even bought a cute little outfit for the baby, blue and green with tiny whales across the front. Wrote out a heartfelt card. I remember standing in the store, rereading that card 3 times before slipping it into the envelope. I'd been looking forward to seeing everyone again. I hadn't seen my sister in months. So I called her. "Hey," I said, my voice light, like I didn't notice the silence. She picked up. Her voice came through sharp. Cold. "We had it yesterday." Just like that. 5 words. I blinked, unsure I heard her right. "Wait, what?" "We had it yesterday," she repeated, a little slower now, and then silence. I waited for her to laugh. To say, "I'm kidding, it's later today," but she didn't. Something in my chest sank. I said, "I didn't get any invite." She didn't respond. The silence stretched. You know that kind of silence, it's not quiet. It's screaming. And then, she hung up. I stared at my phone. I hadn't even had coffee yet. And the day already felt like it had turned sideways. Maybe they forgot to text. Maybe it was last minute. Maybe they assumed I'd be busy. I reached for reasons, but nothing stuck. I always showed up. Every holiday, every emergency. I was the one who brought food, offered rides, stepped in, even when no one asked. I got dressed. Slowly, I looked at the gift on the table by the door. I picked it up, held it for a minute, and thought about just leaving it there. But I didn't. I drove over. They live 15 minutes away, tucked into one of those neighborhoods where every house looks like it's smiling too hard. I parked at the curb and sat in the car for a moment, gripping the steering wheel. Maybe they just forgot. Maybe it wasn't about me. I walked up and knocked. She opened the door halfway. Not wide, not warm. Behind her, her husband stood with his arms folded across his chest. His mouth curled into something that wasn't quite a smirk. Wasn't quite a scowl, but I felt it in my gut. "You didn't think to text me?" I asked, softly. He let out a breath through his nose, barely a sound. But somehow loud enough. "My sister didn't move to let me in. We didn't think you'd want to come," she said flatly. I blinked. "Why would you think that?" She shrugged. Not even a full shrug. Just a little lift of her shoulder. I held out the gift. "I brought this. For the baby." She took it. No smile. No thank you. "I would have come," I said. "I always do." But they were already closing the door. Driving home, I replayed it all. Every look, every word, every inch of the door not opened. Was this the first time? No, it wasn't. Birthday dinners I didn't know about. Group photos I wasn't in. Family texts that somehow didn't include me. For years, I brushed it off. They must have forgotten me by accident. They didn't mean anything by it. But now it looked different, clearer, meaner. Have I always been the outsider? I remembered Christmas 3 years ago. Everyone wore matching pajamas. I didn't get a set. Said they ran out of my size. I'd believed it. God. I sat at the red light and remembered what my therapist said once. Sometimes it's not a misunderstanding, it's the message. I whispered it out loud. It's the message. At home, I stared at my phone, thumb hovering over my sister's name. I wanted to say something. To ask. To call it out. But I knew how it would go. "You're being dramatic. You're reading into things. Why do you always make everything about you?" My mother's voice echoed in my mind. "Just let things go, honey. Don't stir the pot. That pot's been simmering for years." I walked to the bathroom. Looked at myself in the mirror. Eyes a little tired, jaw a little tight, but I saw something else, too. Resolve. If I don't say something now, I whispered, they'll never think I mattered. And just as I turned to leave, my phone buzzed. A new message. A photo. Sent from someone I hadn't heard from in years. And when I opened it, every excuse I had left for them shattered. I was still staring at the phone when I realized my thumb had been hovering over the send button for too long. The message I'd typed to Coraline was simple. Too careful, and maybe too kind. Hey, I didn't know the shower happened yesterday. Everything okay? But I couldn't press send. Something about the air felt thick, like even the message would be ignored. That's when the message came through. A notification from Mallory, my cousin on mom's side. The one who still sends birthday texts out of habit more than affection. Thought you were there too, guess not? That's all it said. Below it, a photo. I tapped it, already feeling my stomach tighten. There they were. Everyone, my siblings, their spouses, my parents, Coraline in the center, beaming. Balloons above her head read, "Welcome baby Jordan." Behind them, a table stacked with gifts. Pastel cupcakes. A backdrop of soft green and cream. They even had printed signs. Coordinated outfits. A full, well-lit, perfectly planned shower. Without me. I zoomed in, hoping, what? To find myself reflected in a mirror by accident? A mistake, maybe, but no, I wasn't there, not even mentioned. And suddenly it all made sense. The clipped tone on the phone. The smirk from Coraline's husband. The half-shut door. All of it. This wasn't forgetfulness. This was erasure. I stared at the screen. Not moving. My pulse was steady, but slow, like my body didn't know whether to scream or sit still. And the longer I stared, the more I saw. Tiny matching badges on everyone's shirts, Team Coraline. A photo guest book with glitter pens. Handwritten signs near the food table. One of them reading, "Only the people who really matter." And my name? Nowhere. Not a tag. Not a card. Not a whisper. They didn't forget me. They planned around me. I heard myself say it out loud, almost surprised by my own voice. They planned around me. Not with me. It was a sharp kind of hurt. Not loud. Not dramatic. But precise. Surgical. I opened Instagram, Facebook, even Coraline's page, which she rarely updated. Nothing. No public post. No mentions. No tags. Just enough privacy to keep it quiet, but not enough to hide it from me completely. I'd always believed I was part of the family. Just the quiet one. The steady one. The one who didn't demand attention. I made room for them. Always. Pushed myself to the background. Thinking that was noble. Safe. But you can't be background if you were never in the frame to begin with. I remembered what my therapist said once. Years ago, we don't mourn what we never had, we mourn what we thought we had. And just like that, the floor shifted under me. Not fast, just enough to make me reach for the wall. No tears came, not this time. I felt something settle instead. Something, still. I stared at the photo, now saved in my gallery, and started mentally checking off the years. The birthday party where I sat at the kids' table at age 35. The Christmas brunch where everyone got personalized mugs, except me. The family vacation I only learned about from someone's tagged beach post. One after another. Each moment used to sting like a pinprick. Now they all felt like dots on a map, one I'd never been invited to read. I didn't delete the photo. I saved it. Not to stew in it. Not out of spite. I saved it like someone saving a receipt. A record. Proof of purchase. A clear sign of where the line had always been drawn. And for the first time, I thought, what if I stopped playing the part? What if I wasn't the quiet one anymore? My phone buzzed again. A voice message. I almost didn't play it. My hands were still heavy from the last message. But something about the contact name made me curious. Odessa. My niece, Coraline's daughter, 14 going on 40. The only one who ever bothered to sit next to me at family dinners. I hit play. Hey, I know this is kind of weird, but I just wanted to say, I noticed you weren't there yesterday. It felt off, like, I asked Mom, and she said, she's too sensitive, better she doesn't come, but honestly, I think it's worse not to be invited at all. Click. That voice, still young. Still learning, but clear in a way the adults had never been. Worse not to be invited at all. She was right. And suddenly, it wasn't just a photo. It was proof. And now, I finally had mine. That night, sleep wouldn't come. I lay in bed with the room half dark. Odessa's voice looping through my head like a broken record. It's worse not to be invited at all. I tried to shut it out. To focus on the hum of the ceiling fan. The streetlight sneaking through the curtains, but my mind wouldn't rest. I replayed every detail of that photo until it blurred. Every smile that wasn't meant for me. I reached for my phone again. Almost without thinking, I scrolled through messages, emails, old photos, anything to drown out the ache. Then my thumb stopped on a familiar name buried down in my texts. Family planning and holidays. It had been quiet for months. I'd assumed the thread had died off. That everyone used smaller group chats now. But as I opened it, I noticed the most recent message was from just yesterday. A notification I never received. The last one read, "Post-baby brunch next weekend. Same house, same time," followed by confetti emojis and heart reactions. My heart tightened. I scrolled up. There were dozens of messages, plans, inside jokes, even pictures, but none from me. Then I saw it. I hadn't been removed from the thread accidentally. They'd started a new one, same name. Same people, minus me. The one person who wasn't supposed to see it had just found it. And leading the conversation was Coraline's husband. Let's keep it simple this time. Just immediate family. Immediate family. Mom's heart emoji. Dad's thumbs up. Coraline's, perfect. I sat there, staring at my own exclusion in black and white. I took screenshots, not to start a fight, just to have proof. Because somewhere along the line, I'd stopped trusting my own memory. I zoomed in on the messages, reading them twice. There was a meme halfway through the thread, a cartoon angel with a halo and the words, "Here comes Saint Delaney, ready to forgive everyone again," followed by laughing emojis. I didn't have to guess who it was about. That one image said more than all their words combined. For years, I'd made excuses for them, told myself they didn't mean it that way, that I was too sensitive. But seeing it, printed on a glowing screen, stripped away all that denial. They'd built a version of me I didn't recognize. Dramatic, difficult, overly emotional, the martyr. And the worst part? I'd played along, smiling through it, pretending not to notice. I whispered, I've spent years defending them in my head, while they've been prosecuting me behind my back. The silence in the kitchen grew heavier. A quote I once read floated up from somewhere deep, Maya Angelou's words, "When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time." I hadn't, not once. I'd rewritten every slight into a misunderstanding, every jab into a joke. But maybe I was done rewriting. I thought back to Mom's birthday 2 years ago. Coraline had snapped at me in front of everyone, "You always take things the wrong way." I'd laughed it off then, swallowing the humiliation, but now I wondered how many of them nodded silently, letting that lie grow roots. I opened my notes app and typed a title, "Let the Record Show." Then I began listing everything. Every dinner I'd been left out of. Every snide comment I'd brushed aside. Every small betrayal that used to sting but never made it to a confrontation. I wasn't writing it to send. I was writing it so I'd stop gaslighting myself. It wasn't revenge, it was memory. I set the phone down on the counter. The screen glowing like a quiet confession in the dark. The refrigerator hummed, steady and indifferent. I whispered, "Let them think I'm weak. Let's see how they handle silence." I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I didn't text anyone. For once, my silence wasn't submission. It was control. I sat there for a while, listening to the sound of my own breathing. Calm, certain. Then my phone buzzed. The screen lit up. Dad. The first time he'd called in weeks. I didn't answer, not right away, but then a voicemail popped up. I pressed play. "Delaney?" His voice was shaking. I just found out about what happened with the shower. I didn't know, but there's something else, something I think you need to know before it's too late. The message ended abruptly, leaving only static. And just like that, My silence was interrupted by a truth I never expected. I stood alone in the kitchen, surrounded by the low hum of the fridge and the clink of a spoon left in the sink. Everything else was still. I held my phone like it was a grenade, thumb hovering over the little play arrow on the screen. One voicemail, one message from my father. It had arrived hours ago, just after dinner, but I hadn't touched it till now. I'd been staring at it like it had teeth. I tapped play. Delaney. His voice broke out, rougher than I remembered it. I know it's late. I probably should have said this a long time ago. But I can't. I can't keep letting you carry this alone. His breath shook. A pause longer than comfort allowed. It was Carter, he said. Years back. I should have stopped it when I had the chance. But I didn't. I told myself it was nothing. That it'd only stir trouble. I let something go too far. You were a kid. I thought you didn't notice. I sat down. Or maybe I fell. My legs didn't remember what they were supposed to do. I kept my mouth shut to keep the peace. But the truth is, if you ever thought you were the problem, you weren't. We let you think that. I let you think that. And that's on me. Another pause. If you want answers, come see me tomorrow morning. Before they get back. Click. No goodbye. Just static and shame and the sound of my own breathing. I replayed it. Twice. Maybe 3 times. Each time his words dug deeper. Carter. Coraline's husband. The one I'd always kept at arm's length without knowing why. The way he looked at me when no one was watching. The quick changes in topic if I got too close to certain subjects at family gatherings. The smirks that never reached his eyes. Now it all felt deliberate. I thought of the birthdays. The holidays. The dinners where I'd sit on the edge of conversations, not quite in. Not quite out. How Carter always controlled the mood. He'd steer talks. Flatter Mom. Keep Coraline smiling just enough to keep up the illusion. And if I ever asked a question too sharp, he'd cut me off with a joke. Delaney's got her theories again. Maybe they weren't theories. I could have called my father right then. I almost did. But I wanted more than his voice in my ear. I needed to see his face. I needed to ask him what exactly he'd let go too far. So I waited. The next morning, I left early. The drive to Georgetown was quiet. Just long roads and longer thoughts. When I pulled up to the house, the yard looked the same as always, like it hadn't held a secret for decades. Dad was out back, alone, in that old rusted lawn chair near the tree line. A cooler by his side like it was Sunday morning and the world wasn't burning. He didn't act surprised when I walked up. I figured you'd come, he said, his voice softer than it used to be. He didn't offer coffee, didn't smile, just looked tired in a way that made his skin seem thinner. I stood in front of him. Say it, out loud. He looked away for a second. Then back at me. It was that wedding, your cousin Natalie's. You'd gone outside for air. Carter followed you out there. I was watching from the porch. He touched your shoulder. Got too close. You flinched. I frowned. I don't remember that. I know, he said. That's why I thought it was okay to forget. He laughed it off. Said he was drunk. Thought you were someone else. I told him to keep his distance. I thought that was enough. I didn't blink. It wasn't. No, he said. It wasn't. He shifted in the chair, cracking open a bottle of water from the cooler. I told your mom. She said we shouldn't blow it up. Said Coraline couldn't take that kind of stress. We swept it under the rug. And every time you started pulling away from the family, we just let you. You protected him, I said. We did. He nodded. And we lost you. Silence. The trees rustled behind us. And a dog barked somewhere in the distance. My father kept his eyes on the grass. I thought about every cold shoulder from Coraline. Every guilt trip from my mother. Every time I walked into a room and the air changed. It wasn't random. It was rehearsed. My voice didn't rise. I didn't shout or cry. I was past that. You don't have to forgive me, he said, but don't let them rewrite this chapter too. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I turned and walked back to the car. I had no words left for him. But I had something else now, a thread to pull. A fracture in the story they'd fed me for years. I got in the car, started the engine, and sat there, staring straight ahead. The sky was brighter than it should have been. My phone buzzed in the console. I looked down. One new message. It wasn't from Carter. Not Coraline either. Odessa. I need to talk to you before it gets worse. It's about the video. I read it twice. My chest tightened. A video? What video? I was still sitting at the table when my phone buzzed again. Same contact. Odessa. Her text came in sharp and fast. Like she'd been typing with shaking hands. You need to see this before they delete it. My pulse jumped. Before I could even reply, another bubble appeared. I'm sending it now. A few seconds later, a file popped up, 2 minutes long. Titled, Classic Delaney. For a full minute I just stared at it. The title alone made something twist in my gut. I told myself not to open it. That I'd already had enough truth for 1 week. But my thumb moved on its own. The screen lit up with faces I knew too well. Coraline. Carter. My brother. My mother in the background. They were all gathered around a patio table at what looked like a family barbecue. I recognized the backyard instantly. My parents. Carter had a drink in hand. Sunglasses pushed up on his head. Okay, he said, grinning. Now I'll be Delaney. Everyone laughed. Then he hunched over, put on this trembling voice, and said, Guys, I just feel like we need to communicate better as a family. I've processed it in therapy. The laughter grew louder. My sister-in-law chimed in, clutching her chest in mock emotion. Oh, and don't forget the soft voice. She always gets quiet before she cries. Coraline wiped fake tears from her eyes. It's not my fault, okay? I wasn't hugged right when I was 7. Carter clapped, doubled over. Oh, that's perfect. You sound just like her. In the background, my mother was sitting on the porch swing, smiling, not laughing, but not stopping them either. The camera panned across the table, and someone said, This is why she's not invited anymore. It's peaceful without the drama. Someone else, my brother, by the sound, added, She thinks being left out is trauma. It's called a group decision. The video ended with Carter raising his glass. To family therapy, without Delaney. Freeze frame. Laughter still echoing faintly from the speakers. I couldn't breathe. I remembered that day. I'd called my mom that morning, asking if the barbecue was still on. She'd said it was cancelled because she had a headache. And I'd believed her. I'd spent that day alone, watching the sunset through the blinds. Turns out, they were all together, laughing about me. I stared at the screen until my reflection appeared on it. It didn't look like me. The phone buzzed again. Odessa. I answered this time. Where did you get that? Her voice came through low. Almost a whisper. I shouldn't have sent it. Then why did you? I asked. Because they were never going to delete it. She said quickly. They said they would, but I checked. It's still in the family cloud. My heart dropped. Who recorded it? Carter's phone, I think. Coraline uploaded it to share with your mom. I overheard her tell your dad last week. If Delaney ever sees this, she'll go nuclear. And honestly, let her. I didn't say anything. Couldn't. Odessa continued. I've been sitting on this for weeks. I shouldn't have. I know. But then I saw your face in those baby shower photos. You looked so tired. I just couldn't keep pretending anymore. She sniffled, voice cracking. You didn't deserve that, Delaney. Any of it. I swallowed hard. Thank you, Odessa. That's all I could manage before hanging up. The silence that followed was thick. Not the kind that comforts. The kind that holds its breath. I opened my laptop, dragged the video from my phone, and saved it under a new folder. I named it Inheritance. Then I opened a note app and started typing. At the top, I wrote, This is who they are. Don't ever forget again. Below it, I made a list, not of people, but of rules. No unannounced visits. No more, we didn't mean it. No group messages. No guilt-tripped invitations. No half-hearted apologies. No pretending. At the very top of the page, I wrote one final line. I will not be the family's emotional punching bag anymore. I stared at it for a long time. My hands were steady. That video had broken something in me, but not the way they'd think. It didn't shatter me. It cleared the fog. For once, I could see the outlines of what had really been happening all these years. The quiet cruelty disguised as family jokes. The loyalty I'd mistaken for love. I closed my laptop and leaned back, letting the stillness fill the room. Then came the ping. An email notification slid across the screen. Subject line: "We need to talk, before you make this worse." It was from Coraline. I opened it, only one sentence inside. "Worse? You haven't even seen what worse looks like yet." I sat there, staring at those words, until the screen dimmed. It started with the knock. Not a gentle one, 3 sharp bangs that rattled the glass in the front door. I hadn't even poured my second cup of coffee. Sunday morning, quiet out, and there she was, Coraline. She didn't wait for me to open it. As soon as I turned the knob, she shoved the door wide with her shoulder like she owned the place. A paper in her hand, shaking slightly from how tightly she gripped it. I caught a glimpse of the label at the top. It was a screenshot. Inheritance. "So this is what you're doing now," she snapped. "Hoarding family dirt? You think that folder gives you power? You want to be the poor little victim again?" I stepped back, trying to keep my voice even. "You're not invited here, Coraline. You think you're special because Odessa's taking your side now?" she said. Eyes sharp. "You're turning her into your little disciple. That's not loyalty, Delaney. That's manipulation." "I'm not turning anyone," I said. "I'm done accepting lies, guilt trips, and phony apologies." She scoffed. "Right, now you're healed, enlightened. You've got a list, a journal, a shrink. That make you feel powerful? You've always needed someone to tell you who you are. Now you're your own guru?" I didn't say a word. "You act like we all owe you something," she said, her voice getting louder, "like you didn't shut everyone out first." Then she pulled a folded paper from her purse and held it up with 2 fingers. "Smug. Want to see what Mom really thinks? This is from her." I took it, a printed email, but the moment I scanned it, I knew. Wrong date format. The sign-off read, "Best." Not, "Love, Mom." It wasn't even her usual font. Coraline smiled wide, watching my face. "You're so easy to gaslight. It's not even fun anymore." There it was, the line. I looked straight at her. "Get off my porch." She blinked. "Excuse me?" "You heard me. Get off my porch, or I call the cops." For a moment, she froze. Then she laughed, loud and ugly. "You gonna cry again? Go ahead. Be the martyr. It's your favorite role." I didn't cry. I didn't even raise my voice. I just picked up my phone, unlocked it, and started recording. Her laughter stopped. "Say that again," I said, holding the phone up, calm as could be. "Let's have it on the record." "Delaney, don't." "This is my sister Coraline," I said, looking into the camera. "She's on my property, uninvited. She brought falsified documents and is attempting emotional coercion." She stepped back like I'd slapped her. "You're pathetic," she muttered. "You're alone because you choose to be miserable." Then she turned and walked out, heels clicking across the porch. I locked the door behind her. I stood there for a minute, breathing, not because I was afraid, but because adrenaline does that. It takes a while to settle. My hands trembled as I sat on the couch. I replayed the video, watched her eyes flick from my face to the phone. The exact moment she realized she'd lost the script. I saved the video in the same folder where I'd placed the barbecue clip. I renamed it, Front Door. Then I picked up the phone and called Odessa. She answered with, "Hey, you okay?" I didn't explain the whole scene. Just said, "You were right. They always counted on me to stay silent. But not anymore." Odessa paused. Then she said quietly, "They poked the bear too many times." Later, after she hung up, I sat with my journal open across my lap. I wrote one sentence. I didn't lose control. I took it back. I didn't write anything else. Didn't need to. The day drifted by slowly. I cleaned the kitchen, folded laundry, let silence be silence, without tension under it. Then, around 6:40 that evening, my phone buzzed. A message from Odessa. Just a forwarded email thread. Subject line: Emergency family meeting, Delaney's behavior. It was from my father. Everyone had been copied, Coraline, Carter, even Aunt May. Except me. Odessa had added nothing but one line above the chain. "If she wants war, let's give her one." I stared at the screen. heart quiet, not racing, just ready. It started as an ordinary Monday afternoon. I sat at my desk with a mug of cold coffee, scrolling through my backup drive, something I hadn't done in months. My fingers moved without thought, checking folders, cleaning up old work files. Then, there it was, one I didn't remember creating. Family Legacy, Private Archive. The name alone felt loaded, like a secret buried in plain sight. I opened it. Inside were scanned documents, a video titled Classic Delaney, and spreadsheets labeled Gift Table Summary 2024. Loan Transfer, DFM. Guest List EXCL. DF. I froze. My initials, DF, had been neatly excluded. I clicked the video. Laughter filled the room. My family at the baby shower. My sister's voice, sharp but sugar-coated, saying, "Oh, don't worry, she wouldn't have come anyway." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Then something steadied inside me. It wasn't sadness. It was clarity. This wasn't a misunderstanding, it was strategy. A quiet, deliberate erasure. I whispered Maya Angelou's words under my breath. You may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. I started copying every file into a new folder, my hands shaking. But steady enough. I renamed it, Evidence, Do Not Delete. It felt like the first time in years I had something real, proof. Then the screen blinked. A message appeared, Folder access revoked. For a split second, I thought it was a glitch. Then another window popped up. You no longer have permission to open this folder. I sat back. The hum of the air conditioner suddenly felt too loud. They knew. Coraline, or her husband, had seen me in the system. My heart pounded, but not from fear, from recognition. This was how they operated. Quiet deletions, revisions of history. My phone buzzed. A text from Odessa. They're coming for the cloud. Hide it. I didn't think twice. I mirrored the files to an external drive, encrypted it, and drafted a quick email to my attorney with the link, subject line, insurance copy. I saved it but didn't send it yet. Instead, I sat there in the silence, feeling something I hadn't felt in years, control. For the first time, I wasn't reacting, I was preparing. Later that night, I poured myself a glass of water and looked around my small office. Every wall felt closer than before, like the house itself was bracing for what came next. My laptop glowed in the dark. I replayed old memories, trying to piece together the pattern. The forgotten invitations, the missing thank yous, the, "oh, must have been a mistake," moments. I opened that old barbecue video from years ago, the one I once thought was harmless. Watching it now, I caught the small things. The side glances, the smirk when I spoke, the camera turning away whenever I laughed. It was never accidental. They'd been writing me out of my own life, one little omission at a time. I remembered another quote, Obama's this time. The best way to not feel hopeless is to get up and do something. I closed the laptop and nodded to myself. I wouldn't let them bury me under their version of events. By midnight, my living room had transformed into a war room. Papers covered the table, printouts of emails, transcripts, notes I'd saved over the years. My laptop sat in the center, the blue light catching the reflection of my coffee mug. I typed carefully, line by line, the subject clear and steady, Family Legacy, Truth Attachment. The body of the email read, Attached you'll find what was hidden. I won't ask for anything. I'll act accordingly. Then, I hit record on my phone. The camera stared back at me, tired eyes. Messy hair, but no hesitation. This isn't revenge, I said softly. It's clarity. I will no longer finance a family system that thrives on pretending I don't exist. I saved the video to the encrypted folder. I wasn't ready to send it, not yet, but the act of making it was enough. I felt like I'd built a wall between their world and mine. Before bed, I scheduled a Zoom call with my attorney for noon the next day. I wanted every file, every record, ready for legal review. My hands were steady now. No tremor left. When I finally crawled into bed, the sky outside was just beginning to lighten. I hadn't slept, but I didn't feel tired. I felt alive. By morning, I made coffee, sat down at the desk again, and waited. The sunlight streamed across the keyboard, cutting through the dim corners of the room. My inbox chimed. A new message. From Coraline. Subject. You've gone too far. I opened it. The body was short, sharp, like a blade. We've sent the files to everyone who matters. Good luck explaining yourself. Attached was a screenshot, my email to the lawyer. Forwarded to my parents, to our church group, to old family friends. For a moment, the room went silent. Then I laughed, quiet, bitter, but free. They thought they'd beaten me at my own game. But what they didn't understand was that I wasn't playing theirs anymore. I looked at the message again and whispered, "Game on," but now I know the rules. I spent the morning pacing between the kitchen and the living room. Coffee untouched, mind already racing. Every corner of the house felt tighter. Like even the walls knew today was different. I cleared the living room, stacked pillows aside, moved the coffee table, laid out printed documents across the couch cushions like they were weapons. Because today, they were. I opened the encrypted folder on my laptop one last time. Every file was there, video clips, chat logs, spreadsheets. I connected my phone to the tripod, hit record, and just stared at the blinking red light. This is my life, I whispered, not their narrative. Then I sent the group message. Coraline, Harlan, my mother, just 12 words. Meeting tonight at 7 p.m. at Mom's house. I have something to share. I paused before hitting send. Was it too direct? Too sharp? Maybe, but silence had cost me everything. Fear had built them a kingdom. I wasn't handing them another brick. I arrived early. The smell of over-perfumed air freshener met me at the door, same old house. Same old cover-up. Coraline was already there, pretending to organize paper plates in the kitchen. Though there was no food. Just image. Her husband stood by the hallway arch, arms crossed like security detail. The others trickled in, polite hugs, forced smiles. A few avoided my eyes. I handed each of them a slim envelope labeled Truth and Records. My mother sat stiffly in her usual spot on the recliner, hands in her lap, still no eye contact. Harlan was pacing. When I handed him his envelope, he didn't even glance at it. "Let's get this over with," he muttered. I didn't sit. I started, voice steady. "Thanks for showing up. That's more than I got at Christine's shower." The silence grew teeth. "For years," I said, "I thought if I stayed quiet, played nice, did my part, eventually, someone would say my name when it mattered." I reached over to the coffee table and tapped play on the video. The barbecue footage rolled. Coraline's laugh cut through the quiet. "Oh, Delaney? She won't show. She never does. Just likes attention when it's not hers." A few chuckles from the background. Familiar voices. Family voices. I turned to them. "You erased me from the pictures. The guest lists. The conversations. You didn't just forget, I was removed." I walked them through screenshots of messages. Calendar invites I was left off of. The cloud folder that vanished the moment I opened it. Maya Angelou once said, I continued, "Words mean nothing if they do not match deeds." Coraline rolled her eyes. "You're turning this into a circus." I didn't raise my voice. "No, I'm showing the audience what's been behind the curtain." The room held its breath. Then Coraline snapped, "You're choosing this now? After all these years of peace?" I looked straight at her. Peace for who? My mother covered her face with both hands. She didn't speak. My father hadn't even shown. Then Harlan, with a smug little smirk, pulled out his own folder, thicker than mine. He held up a printed email. Delaney's message to a lawyer. "That's what this is really about, right? You're trying to weaponize our family." "I'm protecting myself," I said. "That's not a crime." He tossed the folder onto the coffee table like a gauntlet. I opened my bag, pulled out another set of envelopes. "These are backups. If anything in this meeting disappears, these go to legal review." Coraline sneered. "Is that a threat?" "No," I said. "It's a boundary." I stood, looked at each of them. "I'm not asking for anything. I've never asked for anything. But I'm not staying silent anymore." Nobody followed me as I walked out. The house felt like a funeral. Not because someone had died, but because I'd just buried their version of me. As I reached my car and turned the key, my phone buzzed. A message from Odessa. I sent the video to Aunt Isolde. You're not the only one ready. I looked in the rearview mirror. Coraline's car lights flashed on. She was pulling out right behind me. She still thought this was a chase. But I wasn't running anymore. I'd already changed lanes. The sun came in through the blinds in quiet stripes, spilling across the counter where my coffee waited. The house was still. No ringing, no buzzing, no tension humming in the air. For the first time in years, I woke up without feeling like I had to defend myself before my feet hit the floor. The silence didn't scare me anymore. It felt earned. I opened my laptop, mostly out of habit, and there it was, headlines, screenshots, blog posts. The story had made its way into the world. Names, details, fragments of conversations that were never meant for daylight. People were talking, but what caught my eye wasn't the chaos, it was my own name. Written without distortion, mentioned not as a problem, but as a person. I didn't plan this, and I didn't push it. The truth simply found its way out once I stopped covering for everyone else. I whispered under my breath. I didn't stage this, I just stopped hiding. I muted every notification, one by one. No more pop-ups, no more reminders of a noise I didn't owe attention to. The smell of coffee lingered, soft and familiar. I opened my old leather journal, flipped to a blank page, and wrote 2 words at the top, I matter. Then I just sat there, watching the steam rise from my mug like an exhale that had been waiting years to leave my body. Later that morning, I sifted through the messages that managed to sneak through the filters. Some were from lawyers offering advice I didn't ask for. Others were from people I hadn't heard from since high school, curiosity wearing a mask of compassion. I didn't respond to most. Then came one from Odessa. I walked into school and someone said, "Your aunt finally showed up for the party." I laughed, low and tired, but there was pride in it too. The kind of pride that comes when someone you love learns to see through the same fog you fought your way out of. The family's reaction was exactly what I expected, silence. Avoidance. Maybe a touch of fear. Not apology. That would have required reflection. They would rather rewrite the moment than sit in its truth. I remembered something Maya Angelou once said, when you know better, you do better. And I thought, maybe they don't know better yet. Maybe they never will, but I do. Healing isn't about getting the apology. It's about not needing it. And that realization hit me like the first deep breath after holding it underwater too long. By noon, I played my mother's voicemail again. The one I'd been ignoring for days. Her voice trembled between pride and shame. I was wrong. I don't know how to fix it. For a moment, I closed my eyes, letting her words sit there. I knew what she wanted, a response. Some reassurance that the story could still end in forgiveness. But I'd spent a lifetime patching wounds I didn't cause. I texted one sentence, "I heard you." Then I set the phone face down and didn't look at it again. There was an old baby shower invitation sitting on the bookshelf, bent at the corners, a reminder of everything I was excluded from while being told it was my fault for noticing. I scanned it into a folder titled Archive of Truth, then dropped the paper into the recycling bin. That small sound, the soft slide of paper, felt final. I set up my phone on the counter, hit record, and spoke into the lens. No filters, no tears. This is my story. I reclaim it for me. I didn't share it anywhere. I just saved it, for proof that I could finally say it out loud without shaking. The next few days were busy in a quiet way. I called a nonprofit that worked with women recovering from family abuse and manipulation. They asked if I'd be willing to speak at one of their gatherings. I said yes before the sentence even finished. I told them I'd title my talk Invisible Labor and the Cost of Quiet. I wrote an article that same night, not about revenge or blame, but about ownership, about how silence had never protected anyone. It had only delayed the truth. I ended it with one line, "Family doesn't always protect you. Sometimes, it's why you have to learn to protect yourself." That evening, Odessa came over. She sat on the porch steps, her sneakers muddy from the yard, holding 2 sodas. We didn't say much, just listened to the cicadas in the trees. At one point, I told her, "You never have to earn your place in this family. Don't let them teach you otherwise." She nodded like she'd already made that decision herself. Maybe she had. I went online that night and ordered a small wooden desk, nothing fancy. It arrived 3 days later. I placed it near the window where the light hit strongest in the morning. My journal went in the top drawer, right next to a single framed photo of Odessa and me from years ago. Above the desk, I taped a handwritten note: "Legacy begins when silence ends." As the day slipped into evening, I sat by the window, the world outside glowing orange and calm. I closed my journal, traced my fingers along the spine, and whispered, "I will not ask when the invitation is. I'll create the event." My phone buzzed. Calendar alert. Family dinner, Wednesday 7 p.m. I stared at it for a long second. Then hit delete. The next notification I set was personal retreat, Saturday morning. Just me, my car, a highway, and no one else's agenda. Outside, the crickets started their usual chorus. Inside, I felt something settle, not peace exactly, but space. They can talk about me if they need to. They can build their stories around the silence I left. That's fine, but they won't get to write me out again. As I turned off the screen, the room dimmed, and I caught my reflection in the window, calm, grounded, finally whole. I wasn't waiting for permission anymore. End of chapter.